I realized I had too much to cover today in my three big stories, which was actually seven big stories. And so I separated out the seven specifically European stories, not the G7 that was still kept, and not well. Okay, so I'm going to show you what these are, and I figured I'll put these out. Europeans might want to watch this more than Americans. They all affect either Russia or Ukraine or in some way that conflict. Okay, so here first, Polish fighter jets intercepted Russian Su-24 bomber in international airspace over the Baltic Sea, Polish defense minister has said. Now, here's what he actually said. We're going to read his words. He's speaking in Polish, so I'm going to read. Yesterday evening, the Allied Command Operations of NATO forces in Europe ordered a Polish duty pair to intercept a Russian Su-24 aircraft. The Russian Su-24 aircraft was performing dangerous maneuvers. These maneuvers performed by the Russian aircraft show what the intentions of this action are. It is not an accidental action. It is an intentional action. Okay, so it's an intentional action. Okay, so this is kind of like coming by and buzzing them when they try to stop a ship going from Russia or to Russia or whatever just a few days ago. The Russians are continuing this kind of behavior, and one of these days it could very easily spill over into something far more dangerous than anybody's thinking about right now. Okay, European Parliament has voted to curb the imports of Russian and Belarusian fertilizers by increasing tariffs from about 6.5% to 100% over the next 3 years. Okay, let's listen to this.
The European Parliament has voted to sanction Russian and Belarusian fertilizers by increasing tariffs from about 6.5% to 100% over the next 3 years. The EU has been looking for ways to increase pressure on Russia with more precise sanctions. Earlier this week, Polish MEP Marta Wcisło warned that the imports of cheap Russian and Belarusian fertilizers are hurting local producers. Other MEPs called for measures to prevent EU businesses from financing Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The tariff hikes, which are expected to take effect on June 1st, were approved by 411 MEPs, with 100 voting against.
That's interesting. Approved 400 to 100. Okay, so okay, I get it. About 20% is still voting against it. That's not good. But fertilizers, okay, it's good that you're having this tariff on Russian fertilizers. But is that really the thing you should be focused on? Because you have other problems here, and I'll get to the other problems in a little bit. The EU will introduce a temporary trade policy with Ukraine starting June 6th, replacing the export duty-free regime, autonomous trade measures. Talks to modernize the 2016 trade deal are ongoing, with hopes for a long-term fix by July. If I'm understanding correctly, the duty-free regime was like, yeah, Ukraine, you can sell your stuff on our markets. That's great. Bring it on. We're trying to help. This caused a lot of friction between the EU and Ukraine, most notoriously with the Polish farmers coming out to block with their tractors so that this stuff couldn't get in. So that's something that they have to fix. They legitimately have to fix it. I want to help Ukraine too, but the Polish farmers legitimately were feeling like they were losing ground because Ukrainian stuff could come into their market without the same taxes, and so it could be dumped on their market. Okay. So they have to work that out. While the EU continues to buy Russian gas, mostly liquefied natural gas, it has now imposed trade restrictions on Ukrainian agricultural commodity exports, commodity markets. This realpolitik produces strange and ironic results. Okay, so it's saying that Ukraine is being hit with these taxes, but you're still buying liquefied natural gas. And that's what I was talking about in a little bit. Let's talk about this, because the fertilizer issue, great. But the real issue is not fertilizer that's causing Europe or Russia to have the money that it has. The real issue is liquefied natural gas. So they have to get down to working through that, and they're going to work it out by 2027, 2028, 2030, something like that. The European Union paid Russia $23 billion in 2024 for energy imports. 23 billion. This amount exceeds the financial aid Ukraine received from the EU under the Ukraine facility, which totals 17.3 billion. So it's kind of ironic that they're still buying, they're still on the dole to Russia, who they know is going to be using this for nefarious means. But that's just where they are. I'm not slapping at the EU. I'm just trying to report what's going on. Okay, a little bit about that. Before 2022, half of the coal imported to the EU came from Russia. Today, it's zero. So that's good. Okay, the share of Russian oil has dropped from 27% to 3%. That's also good. And gas from 45% to 13%. And they really need to work on the gas one. Yet, even these remnants still bring billions to the Kremlin. The European Commission plans to completely phase out Russian gas by 2027 and all other Russian energy sources by 2030. And that's from the Euromaidan press. Okay, so that's where we are with the European Union. Strike on the Russian world. This is Moldova. Moldova breaks cultural deal with Russia. So part of the reason that people are upset with the Russian Orthodox Church being banned is because they see it as hey, you can't ban a religion. That's not okay. This is some kind of deep violation. And I would agree. However, Russia is militarizing the Russian, they're weaponizing the Russian Orthodox Church to spread its propaganda. Same thing's going on here with this cultural centers. So the Moldovan government is scrapping a 1998 agreement on cultural centers once used by the Kremlin to spread propaganda under the guise of culture. Yeah, that's how they're spreading their message as much as they can. Authorities say the deal has become a channel for disinformation and a threat to national security. Moldova doesn't even have a cultural center in Russia, so it's not like they have an equal exchange. Back in February, after Russian drones crashed on Moldovan soil, the government of Moldova shut down the Russian Cultural Center. So good for them. They're getting it. Not everybody is. Okay, this is weird. It's so weird to see the reversal of what happened in World War II, where the Germans are now allies, the Japanese are now allies, and the former allies that was Russia are now enemies. And it's okay. Germany parks tanks near Russia's border for the first time since 1945. Berlin has done what it didn't dare for nearly 80 years, permanently stationing troops abroad. So armies tend to work out. Many countries have armies, but few have armies that can actually project force, right? Germany's now doing that again. At the inauguration of Germany's armored brigade, Lithuania, in Vilnius, that's the capital city in Lithuania, Chancellor Friedrich Merz and the Defense Minister Boris Pistorius declared it a direct response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The brigade will be fully operational by 2027. Currently, about 400 German soldiers are stationed in Lithuania. By 2027, there will be 5,000. Okay, that's not nothing. I mean, it's not a lot, but it's not nothing. I mean, it's a significant thing, especially since this hasn't been done since World War II. All right, while we're on that, I was in Lithuania a number of years ago in this square. This is Theater Square in Klaipėda. Klaipėda is on the Baltic Sea, or like the town is situated right on the sea. And Hitler spoke from the balcony, and this statue here, he had this statue of a girl turned around because it was facing away from him. Like, that's how weird, he couldn't even have a statue not facing him. Yeah. So Germany is now in Lithuania again. And again, the Germans, the Nazis, treated the Lithuanians terribly. Well, the Soviets did first, then the Germans, then the Soviets again, and kept them as part of the Soviet Union until 1991. I saw this and I thought, yeah, this is what Putin sounds like. I don't want war. All I want is peace, peace, peace. And he goes on singing. I thought this was from the producers. A little piece of Poland, a little piece of France, a little piece of Portugal, and Austria, perchance, right? That's what Putin's doing. A little piece of Ukraine, a little piece of Georgia, a little piece of Moldova. Like, it's really happening like that. Somebody corrected in the comments and said that at first I mistook this as being from The Producers, 1967. Good movie. And I can't remember if I've seen this one, but thanks for writing in the comments below that it's To Be or Not to Be, 1983. I've never seen that movie. I don't know if you know whether this was from The Producers or To Be or Not to Be. Put in the comments below. I have yet to see the other one. Okay, last little story about, well, I guess it's a big story about Europe. Europe will have to spend an additional $1 trillion if the U.S. cuts its military support. The list of required assets includes 600 tanks, 800 tracked infantry fighting vehicles, 900 heavy armored personnel carriers, and let alone the coordination, the logistics, yeah. So let's hope cooler heads prevail and things work out, and we don't let the world just create this sucking vacuum if the U.S. leaves. I'm afraid that that's the direction that we're going. All right. Tell me what you thought of the 7 European stories. Was this helpful? I hope so. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.